Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host 𝙒𝙖𝙩𝙤. Is Russia losing the war? Really? Some of you don't believe this? Well, the situation on the ground is changing every day, but slowly but steadily, it is changing in only one direction according to the reports that are coming from the ground. If you don't believe my word, let us listen to my good friend Elmer Yuen. Elmer, namaskar
Thank
and
you
welcome to
for
PGurus.
thank you for inviting me. I have been following. I think all the Chinese have been following this war in Ukraine between the Ukraine and the Russian. So we've been very closely, and I like to give you our background story of this whole thing. This whole thing started when Putin tried to, you remember, he took back Crimea, and really the West, NATO.
2014. Yeah.
Right, NATO was very angry, especially Obama was angry, but couldn't do anything because they don't want to start a world war directly with Russia. So they let them take the Crimea. And you remember later on, before Obama retires, in Syria, remember the Russian was helping the Syrian to cross Obama's red line. Remember, he drew a red
Yes.
line, and they crossed it, and Obama wanted to fight and couldn't fight. So this is the hatred. There's a serious thing going on between Putin and Obama. And under Obama is Susan Rice, all right? And Susan Rice is the UN ambassador. So anyway, this animosity, and Biden, of course, was the vice president. So this group of people, they feel hugely insulted by Putin, and they couldn't do anything because it's the U.S. politics. So with this hatred in mind, the first revenge they took was the Russian gate. They tried to pin this whole thing on the Putin is helping Trump to get elected.
2016. Yeah.
Right, the Mueller report, and now of course it's the Durham report. Right, it's all made up. It's all made up against Putin. We were wondering, we are Chinese, we were wondering, how come the biggest enemy is China, not Russia? But there is some private, what do you call, a vendetta going between Putin and Obama. And now you can see that Biden's energy level is not that high. He's old, right?
Yes.
So, but behind him is Obama, Susan Rice, and Hillary. And those people have, and since then, you remember the U.S. told the Ukraine that we have to protect you. We have to
Right.
retrain your whole military after the Crimea incident. So remember, the Biden took the money to see the president of Ukraine. And you
Yankovic?
remember,
Yankovic?
I forgot the name. Yeah,
Okay.
and he said, "You have to give my son a job, and consultant job, $150,000 a month. That's a lot of money, all right? But what was that money for? That money was to help the Ukraine to restructure and retrain the whole military. Ukraine was, of course, the old Russian way of fighting, all right? Which is, what you see today from Russia was what Ukraine used to be. But in the last 8 years, totally they retrained this whole soldier. The whole military has been broken down to small units carrying these very portable arms, and excellent communication. Each little group has communication. So what happened is they have trained them, but it was not a conspiracy yet. But the problem is Putin, after recognizing the two republics inside Ukraine, he should have stopped then. Then nothing will happen. Everybody say, okay, leave him alone. He did more or less the same. Mostly Russian living in those two republics, right? And it's the same as the Crimea because mostly Russians. So people will let him get away because every time he say, oh, it's only Russian, people say, okay, those people deserve to have their own country. So the biggest mistake Putin made was to go beyond that one step. That step is killing his whole life reputation. That step by invading Ukraine beyond recognizing the two republics. So US when they saw, and this whole training, this training of the Ukraine soldiers is partly handled by CIA and partly handled by the Department of Defense with the help of England. England was very helpful. So what happened is, this is, well, 8 years ago we're talking about, and this Javelin and the Sting missiles, all this will be shipped to them, not in huge quantity, shipped to them way before the war, way before. Even during Trump era, they've shipped already. They were quite well armed. And this stuff is not very expensive by US standard. All right, they are just portable, small portable equipment. So what happened when Putin stationed 200,000 soldiers along the borderline? So then the Biden administration start preparing themselves. That what if he really invades? And they got information that he was going to invade. Remember, they were talking about it and telling the whole world the Russians are going to invade on certain dates. They inform everybody, make it public. And in the meantime, they are preparing for this eventuality. What if they really invade? So all the Ukraine soldiers are very, very well prepared. And what they have prepared is what we call a modern guerrilla warfare, which means all broken down into small groups, like 10, 20, no more than 20, 30 people in a group. And each group is self-contained with the latest portable weapons and the latest communication gear, night vision, communication with a satellite, you name it. The latest, no different from a US small unit. So all these, we are talking about hundreds, all right, hundreds of such units all over Ukraine. And they are mobile. They don't stay in one place. They are hidden, they are mobile. That's why you did this throughout the last 3-4 weeks. You never see one mainstream report or any report of any Ukraine military. You don't even see one soldier, all right? Because they don't want you to get their recognition. They are using recognition, but they are hiding from all cameras. That's why we didn't know what's really happening. Nobody knows what's happening because they are this guerrilla warfare. And guerrilla warfare, they are very secretive. They never allow you to go to film them or film the scene. Only after a long time, after the whole area is safe, then they let you go in and film the helicopter, broken helicopter, the crash, and then the tanks and so on and so forth. So what happened? They are fighting a modern guerrilla warfare. The Russian believe it's another repeat of the Crimea warfare. They think, oh, it's going to be over in 48 hours. That's what they publicly told people. All right. That's why everybody thought nobody really paying much attention. So this is what really beginning. And the Russians were using war tactics from the Afghanistan. Remember, they lost the war, which is very, very old-fashioned. They would come with huge tanks, one number of tanks, and Ukraine is a very plain. There's not many hills, so it's a much easier fight than Afghanistan. They thought they just come over and wipe people out. That was their game plan, and it's going to take like 48 hours. And Ukraine would surrender, and that's the end of the game. But what really the difference is, this one guy called, what's his name? Zenelsky. This guy, Zenelsky, makes all the difference. He refused to leave. Americans said, we better, at that time, America wasn't sure whether they really have a fighting force, whether they're up to the Russian. Everybody overestimate Russian, the second biggest superpower in the world. All right, and all the Chinese worship Russian military, similar to your country, right? They think, oh, Russian, almighty Russian, all right? But the Russian have not improved anything. Only a few weapons, and those weapons are never tested, all right? All the weapons, the hypersonic and all that stuff. But anyway, what happened is Putin changed his mind. Suddenly made a last-minute decision to attack, all right, to take over Ukraine. He thought he can do it just like Crimea. And then the US was very much ready, even though it was not a conspiracy, but they were very much ready. And this Zenelsky really provide the reason for US to support him. He refused to leave. So US had to support him with information, with everything. So this is how the war is started. the Russian is fighting a classical war, which is done in World War I, World War II. But the Ukrainian are fighting a guerrilla, modern guerrilla warfare. I mean, I don't know about your chess game in India, but as you know, the Russians are fighting a classical chess game. And the Ukrainian are fighting the Go, the Chinese chess game. You aware of it?
India invented chess.
Yes. You invent the chess, is enemy on one side and you are on the opposite side.
Yes,
This
yes.
is the chess game, right? The ancient warfare, classic warfare. But then the Chinese invent another chess. It's called Go. There are no sides. Every time I surround you, you are out. All those what do you call? All the little bits. So we only have white and black. So anytime the other side surround you, then you're out. So there are no sides in the Chinese, which is more like the modern warfare, the guerrilla warfare. This is how Chairman Mao invented this whole guerrilla warfare business. All right. So, but then the U.S. have adopted to modern warfare and taught the Ukrainian. So this is a very interesting situation. The Russians are under daylight, and the Ukrainian were in the dark. You never see them. They are moving. They are hiding. It's their own country. They know where to hide. They don't even need supply line because they go to any home. Ukrainian will give them a great meal, right? So they don't need supply line. The Russian run into problem after 3 days, preparing only for 3 days of supply in fuel and food. They ran out. They didn't know what to do. You remember that line of
40 miles long. Yeah.
Yeah, 64 kilometers of. They ran out of fuel. They ran out of food. They're waiting for supply back home. Yet the Ukrainian, they don't need any supply. They carry everything with them, the latest technology from US, all right, carry with them, and they go from home to home. They have their food to eat. It's this war. There will be many books written about it. So what really happened is, finally, the Russian published their figures, 9,800 deaths, and the Russian soldiers. I'm talking about Russian military, but Ukraine claimed 16,000. Why the difference? What really happened? A lot of soldiers were gone missing, were captured, and then they died. But the Russians didn't know how to bring back the body, because if they go and bring back the body, they get attacked by the guerrillas again. You understand? It's very dangerous there. You know, they're busy. They're busy protecting themselves. This whole, I don't know what you call this whole army was in big trouble. And you know how many? More than 10 generals, different generals, were killed, were shot. And even the vice admiral from the Black Sea fleet was shot because they didn't have a good communication system. The Russians, they claim they have a good, they've spent huge amount of money, but their system, their electronics, you're from Silicon Valley. I mean, Russians have nothing, all right? And the stuff they produce for the military, all right, is even worse than the Nokia. It's more like the Motorola, those bricks, with the big antenna. They copy that.
Yes,
they do have a big antenna, still have a big antenna. So what happened? They could not. They produced altogether 60,000 their military mobile unit. All right, and for the soldiers there, they got about 30,000 to only give to the leaders. The soldiers, normal soldiers, got nothing, and they don't work. They don't work very well. So what happened is those generals, they saw they were in trouble. They went to the front line, and they need to communicate. But the Russian mobile phones did not work. So what happened? They asked the local for the SIM card, for the Ukrainian SIM card, plug into their phone and start talking. And then their voice recognition, face recognition, everything that could have gone wrong, they've gone wrong. And then the US was able to pinpoint each one of them, either by sniper or by drone. All those more than high-level officials from the war, almost total, now it's close to 20, all wiped out. You can check. You can check. You can believe 90% of the Ukraine report. All right, Ukraine report. So can you imagine? I mean, in no way in such a war, in a matter of few weeks, you lose so many generals. All right, no war, never in history. All right, and then so many tanks and so many drones, so many helicopters, so many planes, and there's so many soldiers. No, so this is the best force the Russians have, and it's no longer feasible. The whole thing is not, so that's why they try to hire 40,000 mercenaries from Syria.
Syria.
You remember?
Yeah.
And they even asked China. China, of course, said no, we can't do this. They were playing very low profile. So they will try to conscript new soldiers, but nobody wants to fight. All right, inside Russia, there is a coup going on. There is a coup, very high level coup going on, because Putin has threatened using nuclear. He has put nuclear deterrence alert. All right, and he's getting everybody ready. He asked all his high level cabinet people to get ready to prepare for a nuclear war, and they are scared to death. You think we are scared? They are more scared, because if anything happens, they cannot leave Moscow, and if Moscow is targeted, they have nowhere to hide. We are civilians. We can run. We can fly away from certain places. But these guys are stuck in Moscow under Putin. So if anything happens, they have to die with him. So they are plotting right now a coup to remove him, because this whole Russia, all the credit cards don't work. All right, all their foreign currency got wiped out. Nothing left. They are in bigger trouble than Ukraine. And they have people exodus. Russians are leaving because life is so hard after the sanctions. All the big companies, just the foreign companies, basically all closed down. So no jobs, no future. So they are leaving, all leaving. The refugees from Russia will be more than the refugees from Ukraine. I'm not exaggerating, Syria, because you don't have a direct relationship. India does not have a direct benefit from this war. But we Hong Kong, or we Chinese, really are watching it closely, because we have overestimated the Russian military might. And I think your people should really take a look. You're buying junk, all right? You're buying huge amount of junk, and they don't really match up with the U.S. So far, the U.S. this shoulder stuff is really, this is a small weapon to U.S. It's not even considered as a system. These are no systems. They're just accessories. So what happened now? U.S. is giving him the latest SAM, service to air missile. So they don't even need the airspace. No Russian plane dare to come in to the Ukraine airspace. So what they do? They are using their supersonic, because supersonic is hard to block. All right, normal missiles, the cruise missiles, easy to block. So the cruise missile, they have fired about 1,000. Out of the 1,000, only about 300 hits the civilian targets. The rest is either they have ways to block it. American give them a lot of way to block it. All right, and also they screw up the Russian GPS. So the Russians don't even know how to aim. They screw up the GPS, screw up their communication system. It's all hacked. American knows how to hack as well. And there's a global effort in hacking the Russians, right? From Silicon Valley.
Yes,
so the war is lost. The problem is the Russians are trying to call their soldiers from the Far East, from Siberia. This is how bad they are prepared, because they will never prepare for a prolonged land battle. Because that's not in the modern history. Nobody fights with a helicopter and tanks anymore. It's gone. Those are sitting ducks. So such easy targets. But yet the Russians, they have no alternative. They had never expected they need to end up in such a drawn out land war. So what happened is the whole Russian now is exhausted. They don't know what to do. No morale, nothing. And he cannot pull back the force, because if he pulls them back, he would lose. He would be kicked out politically. It will be suicide. Yet if he does not withdraw, those 200,000, now probably 180,000 left. If he does not withdraw them, the end result is they will either be captured or end up in surrendering. I'm following it so closely. I spend almost like 18 hours a day following this, and I have companies in Russia. I have investment and company in Russia supplying me with information. So basically, it's over for Russia and it's over for Putin. I think Putin will not last till the end of this year. So if he's gone, the whole Russian Federation will become liberalized and will become, they want to be, people under 60 years old want to be, live like you and me and the Western European. They do not want to live under Putin. The only reason they're living under Putin is because he brings back money. Because he's selling all this energy and does come back with a lot of retirement or welfare money. All right. Otherwise, they all like to live like they all like to be part of Euro or part of NATO. So this is how bad it is. And now Putin is afraid that the Japanese may want to reclaim their 4 islands while he's weak. No, over the entire Russia, he does not have any fightable that can really have any unit that's capable of defending Russia. Right now, Russia is naked, and Putin is finished. Since he has been accused of this war crime, all right, by the International Court of Justice, I don't think any country can put up with him. This guy may end up with a fate like Hitler.
Okay, so so this is where this war stands according to what you can construct by connecting the dots. And viewers, you should not take our word for it. You should also look at both sides. And there are some questions that Elmer has answered. For instance, why no air power by Russia? Second one, why are they using hypersonics? This has been confirmed by United States also, that a hypersonic was used to bring down a arms factory or something of that nature very close to the Polish border. I think 8 kilometers or 8 miles, something very, very close to the border.
It's a training camp. It's not
training
even
camp.
It's a training camp, which is totally waste of such a good weapon. They should have hit the missile base. And once you destroy a missile base, they cannot fire a missile anymore. This is what they should have done. But they cannot fire any missile base because the Ukrainians are using this mobile. That's the SAM are very, very mobile. So they can put it on the tank.
And also, I can tell you, I have seen videos where a helicopter pilot who was shot down and was captured by the Ukrainians, what they did was, this guy did not have a way to communicate with his girlfriend back home in Russia. So they actually asked his number, spoke to his girlfriend in Russian, and then gave the phone to him. He said something, and then at the end, they snatched the phone back and told the girlfriend, look for another guy, because when we are done with him, he's not going to be able to give you any children. You can make the guess there. This was what they said. I have the video proof of this. So what I'm trying to say is, things are beginning to add up. They said that Russia was ready to overrun so many cities. Nothing has happened. And so you can make your own conclusions. You can don't send comments to me, because this is what it is. We are telling you what it is. Now let's come to the next interesting question, Elmer. Where does China stand? Is it still going to continue to support Russia? Because Russia has asked China for arms and money.
So what really happened, I've given a lot of thoughts. What Putin has been practicing and what Xi Jinping has been practicing, we have to use a very old word, imperialism. This is what these guys are doing. They try to expand their country. Remember, like the British Empire, they tried imperialism. The Japanese also. The Japanese also were doing imperialism. So was Hitler. So was Napoleon. They tried to expand the world, and those are thinking from the 19th century, or even before the Second World War. People try to expand. This is their dream. Their so-called dream is imperialism, which is totally out of date since the end of World War II. But this is what they are. So Putin and Xi Jinping share the same dream. All right. So in the beginning, they have an understanding that they will both start action at the same time. Putin will start on the Ukraine, and China will start on Taiwan. So the US will be caught with two fronts and will be forced to negotiate. That was what's the beginning. That was agreed before the Winter Olympics. But then 4 days later, into the Winter Olympics, Xi Jinping called a Politburo meeting, all right, standing period meeting. They were hiding for almost 5 days, and they refused. The joint decision was they are not going to venture. They're going to watch and see what happened in Ukraine. And those people are very, very clever. You know, there are some very clever politicians in China. Same in India, the elderlies, all right? They have some wisdom. So they held on. They did not fight the Taiwanese. As a result, of course, Ukraine, as we know, was a total loss. Really, it's finished. It's capitulation. And now he's just trying to pick up some face, try to negotiate for some face so that he can step down. But that doesn't matter. So finally, after China saw what happened in Ukraine, they knew that US is so much more superior in military. And this whole idea of the East rising and the West falling, I mean, that house of crap, you know. I mean, politician may be falling, but the country is not. I mean, you in Silicon Valley, US is getting very, very strong. Look at the stock market. If there's no Ukraine war and nothing, they will be doing so much better. So the economy is fine, the military is fine. The only problem is there's some stupid politics going on, you know. But that's life. It happens. So what happened is right now, Xi Jinping, before I was rating as 50-50 for him to be re-elected. It's not really election, but it's kind of mafia type of election. You know, if the commission, he may become one more term as the godfather. But the looks like he is in trouble, not only because of the Ukraine for misjudging Putin, misjudging Russia, because they are really a secret alliance between China and Russia. There's no question. The kind of contract he signed before the Winter Olympics was so huge. All right, they are basically merged into one. So I've always been talking about the axis. The axis is definitely there, 100% there. So they formed this one. Now they don't know what to do because Putin may not be there a year from now. All right, Putin may not be. So the end result is China will be totally isolated. All right, India and Russia may become a liberal state or country, and Russia may split up. The U.S. objective is to split up Russia because it's too dangerous. They are the biggest supply of energy in the world. While U.S. have the U.S. dollars, the Russian may end up with the biggest supply of energy. Energy is as powerful as the U.S. dollars. So U.S. may somehow split up the country, another, what do you call it, like the Soviet breakup. So another breakup to make sure the energy is not concentrated in one government, right? Because you have not. One day I will tell you about the Yamal. You know, in the North Pole, they have the biggest LNG plant in North Pole, and that has not been really in huge production yet. Once that come on stream, you're going to see huge amount of energy supply. Nobody can beat the Russian. So in the end, America using fracking. Fracking costs more than conventional drilling.
Yeah, it's $40. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's $40 against $2.
$2. Right. No comparison.
So, but the reality is, the Chinese understand Russia is over. It's not dependable. All right, Russia is not dependable to fight with them. You maybe still continue to supply energy and natural resource to China, but in the end, China may have to fight its own war. So Xi Jinping is in big trouble. Now it gives one more reason. There's one more thing which is more urgent. He's talking about zero tolerance in China, and that the Omicron is spreading like wildfires in China, and which the zero tolerance does not work. I mean, your India way of live with the virus is the way to go. But Xi Jinping, he is like the emperor who have told everybody that the zero tolerance will work and quarantine will work. Now it turned out to be a fiasco, all right? Because you just have to let it spread, and people will have what do you call
Antibodies and
vaccination.
immunization. Yeah.
Antibodies. Right. So anyway, this is a bigger problem. It's internal. Biggest electronic exporting city is Shenzhen, the city behind Hong Kong. The whole city is shut down. Thousands of factories have been shut down. And this is not a joke. This is big stuff. Shanghai closed down. The whole China is shutting down because of the Omicron. So I'm calling it the Omicron revolution, on top of the Russian misjudgment. So in the way, let's watch. We don't need your soldier don't need to do anything. They are destroying themselves one way or the other. Seriously. But one thing I really must remind India, that I don't know what kind of war what kind of war machine your system is, but really learning from Russia is a terrible waste of time and money.
Well, thank you very much, Elmer. And we've got a very good idea of where things stand. And the news has been coming out that China has not gotten itself rid of the Omicron. They call it Delta-Omicron. I think that's the new variant, right? Delta-Omicron or something like that.
No. What happened? They have never been hit by Delta. So Delta and Omicron hit them at the same time.
Oh, okay.
They were very good. They were very good in screening. So in China, those number is almost real, all right? Even after adding 20, still looks incredibly good. So they were able to block Delta, and now they're not able to block the combination of Delta and Omicron.
See, the other problem that China has is they had two vaccines, Sinovac and Sinopharm. I think both are just placebos. They're not really effective. So they need to gulp their pride.
They don't work.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. They need to gulp their pride and tell the West, look, we need vaccines too.
No, Syria, you don't understand. You forgot. You live in US too long, where money is not the problem. Imagine they have to pay to Pfizer or Moderna for 1.4 billion people. How the hell can you afford it? This is huge amount of money.
Well, Pfizer will watch this video and add a couple of zeros. Pfizer will watch this video and add a couple of zeros.
Exactly. So it's not only a matter of what works and what not working. It's a matter of money. Can you imagine to give these people shots right from the beginning and continually second, third booster, and then the fourth booster? It's a never-ending thing. So unless you're willing to have live with the virus, that is the only solution for the time being.
All right, so a lot of interesting stuff going on. We'll wait and see how things go. And Elmer, I hope to see you next week, again Tuesday, and
Sure.
We'll reconnect hopefully, and let's see how this war game plays out. I shouldn't say game; it is a bad war, a nasty war. And thank you once again for updating us. And as always, viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.